Welcome everyone. I am Mr. Golembaum, and this is Supremacy 1914. So we are back at the end of day 9. We are still in first place. There were a few changes that took place since we last did the recording. We were able to successfully push into South Mexico. We broke their initial front line. We had a general discussion about priority targets, but after we had just broken down the front line, a lot of these areas were exposed. Some of these had absolutely no troops, and other tiles had, 6, 5, 2,000. So this is kind of what's been going on. We got the double iron, which is huge. We are investing straight into an additional railroad, as that's going to give us a huge boost to our iron. We also secured the double wood province. However, we still want the day tick to kind of go through. Even if I commit the resources for a railroad, we're not going to get much progress at 25% morale bonus. If you take a look at the construction here and we hover over railroad, it's going to say 6 days, and I believe the normal time is between like 2 or 3. Okay, it's 3 days. You do the math. It's 3 days. So it's more than double. And once we get the morale boost, it should be a little easier. I've just kind of been holding on to some of these resources to be able to finance some of our other production projects, or I should say construction projects, and some of our production. But these two are huge. We are closing in on the capital. We actually split up some of our forces. This stack over here, our primary force with the 2 armored cars, 11 cavalry, will secure some of these other straggler units that I just don't want behind us. And then we broke off Lawrence to, essentially meet his fate. If he's able to clear out any of this, that'll be huge. But otherwise, our primary force will kind of clean this up, take the double iron, which will be massive as well, especially since this double iron actually has a connection to the sea, which means we will be able to construct a harbor, which will give us a massive 25% boost on top of your regular factories and railroads that we'll be able to construct. After that, we'll just take the capital, probably clean up some of these other provinces. Unfortunately, one of these provinces did flip over to the AI here, and I am not going to let a double wood just sit with this little AI miner. They have 4,000 troops defending on a level 3 fort, and now I'm kind of second guessing our approach. We have offensive 60, they have defensive 13. Even if they're able to block half of that, I just don't think 4,000 is enough in this situation. This could totally backfire, but with the additional cavalry unit, we should have enough offensive power to just kind of punch through. The capital bonus would be really nice as well. Chihuahua, we have come to an agreement, and so he will be joining the coalition. As part of the deal, we have acquired the double oil province. As we were looking at the double oil provinces last time around, we saw that oil is very scarce and very hard to come by, especially these double provinces. We did give him an additional energy province in return, so he's able to recoup some of those energy costs. If you look at Chihuahua's position now that we can actually view everything, he's in a very, very rough spot. If we just double click his units, we will see that he's got 156,000, 5 armored cars, and a few heroes. He doesn't have much, and as you can see, most of his forces are tied up in the west. Had we decided to go after him at any point after that original peace, or ceasefire, I should say, unfortunately, I don't think he would have stood that much of a chance. He's just in a bad position, and we would have had a significantly larger force in the area that he would be able to handle. But he has been holding his own against Northern California, which is one of the reasons why I was willing to make the deal. North Carolina, being a pretty good, competent player, has made a lot of progress here in the south, has been able to exchange very well. So seeing Chihuahua be able to stand up to him for so long was impressive, and I wanted to see more of it. So hey, Chihuahua, let's see what else you have. I did offer support, but I'm not going to be able to bust through an entire 102,000 army so far away from my border. One interesting thing to note is that I wish. Unfortunately, I click on this and I'm not going to be able to afford that. He was able to bring his Tatiana to the front, and she's been shelling away for a good while now. If we check out the details, we can see confirmed kills. She's already been able to take out 10. And this, I believe, was a level 3 fort originally. I don't know what happened. I know Chihuahua had a stack of 40,000 here with Joffrey and the armored cars that did serve as a pretty scary deterrent, but not scary enough to stop a Hank with 11,000 cavalry. The balloon's negligible, but he had, I believe, over 100,000 infantry units. I just don't know what happened to North California. He went away at a very, very bad time, and so he's going to be losing troops. Tatiana has been getting a kill maybe every 2 shots or so, just because of this kind of fortification protection. But with this already dropping to level 1, it's not going to last that long, and at that point he may start using some of these precious cavalry units. I mean, even the balloon, or even dwindling down Hank's HP pool. At some point he may actually be able to hold his own here, even if South Carolina is able to get back on. You can see here in Los Angeles, he was actually able to bring a strike force and attack a weak spot. The problem, though, is, I mean, that was it. I mean, he has free reign into at least 5 North Californian territories, if not more than double that or triple that, as it looked like California was bringing all of his troops down here to reinforce his border to the south. So unfortunately, Chihuahua has kind of given up this opportunity. I hope that when he does get back, he really should capitalize on this. He could have sent 1 armored car on forced march in each one of these directions, and should North California come back, he would see the immediate threat to the north, and he may not even engage in some of these forces in the south, allowing his Tatiana and some of his other forces to survive, and in fact they'd be able to capture that province. But by taking these regions, the movement speed of this army would be ridiculously slow, certainly not fast enough to pass up a 72 speed vehicle. It would be, I believe, like a third of the speed on enemy territory. But that means that this slow Hank army, and that does include a balloon. I would hope that he would separate the balloon just to improve movement speed, since this is the slowest unit in the game and in his army, and it's weakened, but I don't believe it's weakened enough to slow down his speed. But that also would have put him in a bad situation, so he would have been forced to retreat, and he would lose precious territory to Chihuahua here. And Chihuahua, if he split up these armies, they'd be able to capture a whole bunch, similar to what we did with Orhan in the south, the whole masterclass execution there through West Mexico. He would be able to start bordering, potentially even take this double grain, which would have crippled North California's cavalry production. He's certainly been doing a lot of that, as well as some of his energy production, and even threaten his capital and some of these other areas. So very, very interesting developments going on over here in the West. We were trying to help here. Originally, this 1,000K force was going to be a little scouting party, but should the opportunity present itself, I will kind of go in and help out a little bit and invade. And we do have 2,000 additional troops that, had I been there, I certainly would have been pressing the offensive, probably going to the Cole with the 2,000 troops that I have to kind of cut off his route of retreat. So even if we continue capturing these other territories, his units would be that much slower, as they would have to traverse through enemy territory at that point, since it would be our province. So we'd be able to do a lot of damage there. But Chihuahua, good luck. Let's see how this plays out. Let's see if you're able to overcome this obstacle. I believe he has more provinces and technically a higher score, but he did lose his double oil. unfortunately for him, but he still has the double materials, and he's been able to reclaim some of these territories here in the west. He looks like he even has factories and railroads coming online for some of his food provinces. Actually, this is very surprising. So with a harbor and a level 2 factory, he should be able to start building some cruisers potentially early on here, and then potentially even transitioning to battleships in the later stages. So yeah, good luck. We'll see how this develops. Utah is about done with their conquest of Arizona. It looks like he is pulling a lot of his forces back. Don't know yet where they're moving to, but they're certainly not moving to our border at the moment, which is great. I would advise him to not attack some of these neutral AI nations between us, as they work as really good buffer states, not only for myself, but for him. We'll see. We'll see. I think his expansion opportunities, unless he kind of changes his focus to South Dakota, especially since South Dakota is or has recently declared war on South Wyoming, he's going to be increasing the border here and threatening Utah's capital. So I want to see what happens there. Missouri did come back as a player. He wrapped up the AI miner in the south, and he was also able to assist in the invasion of Illinois, capturing one province, but struggling with the second province. I believe he may have lost a few units here. Not ideal. I wish he remained a little bit of a buffer state, but since he has returned, we are redoubling our concentrations here, our efforts on defense. He's also going through East Kansas here. However, with it really being a small AI miner, I don't see them really being able to put up any kind of resistance should he choose to concentrate some of his forces.